we're back with another episode of Before You Bet. It's the YouTube series that's dedicated to give you all the information you're going to need before placing your wagers on UFC fights. Whether you straight up gamble on people throwing hands, maybe you're just a fan of the sport who wants to look like a genius in front of your friends, maybe you play in a picks pool or are involved in MMA daily fantasy, then Before You Bet is the show for you. I'm the host of Before You Bet, Bobby Matthews. Our goal here at Z-Rep is to have fun, entertain, and ultimately excite you to watch the fights, gamble on the fights, pick the winners of the fights, and become a victorious sports bettor in the process. The Z-Rep team does this because you deserve it, motherfucker. This episode of Before You Bet is presented by Z-Rep. That's Zia Rising Entertainment Production. UFC Fight Night Whitaker vs. Gastelum is taking place at the UFC Apex, Las Vegas, Nevada on April 17th. You can watch the event on ESPN+. Plus prelims start at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Starting off with the main event, we have got two top 10 contenders in UFC's middleweight division. The Reaper, Robert Whitaker, takes on Kelvin Gastelum. The winner of this fight will likely be in line for a title shot against the champion Israel Adesanya. Whitaker has a 23-5 professional record with 10 TKOs, 5 submissions, and 8 decision victories. Whitaker is 13-3 in the UFC. The Aussie will have a slight height and reach advantage, entering the octagon on a 2-fight win streak, beating Jared Cannonier and Darren Till. 4 out of his last 5 main events have gone to decision. His opponent, Kelvin Gastelum, has a 17-6 professional record with 6 TKOs, 5 submissions, and 6 decision victories. The southpaw, Gastelum, is coming off a win against Ian Heinisch and is 5-5 in his last 10 fights in the UFC. That does not include the no contest Gastelum had against Vitor Belfort. 4 out of Gastelum's last 5 fights have gone to decision. Taking a look at the odds here, we got Robert Whitaker as a -270 favorite, and Kelvin Gastelum is a +210 underdog. The over-under is at 4.5 rounds, with the over at -440. Excuse me. The over is at -140. The under is at +110. The number 1 ranked middleweight contender in the UFC, Robert Whitaker, is going to have a slight height and reach advantage in this fight. He is also a more consistent winner. It's because of that why Robert Whitaker is Before You Bet's official pick for the main event. I would also recommend taking a stab at the over 4.5 rounds at -140. It is not a bad price to pay. If you're nasty, you can parlay both Robert Whitaker and the over on the same ticket. As always, our stats, info, and odds information has been provided by Tapology, ESPN.com, UFC.com, and MyBookie.ag. And today's video is sponsored by Freedom. Freedom, it's what I believe in. What do you believe in? Before You Bet is not like those other picks and preview shows. We will not fill your head with some very, very, very vague details convincing you why a fighter will either win or lose. Instead of using the channel to straight up lie to the audience about who we think is going to win, Before You Bet is actually committed to providing our audience with knowledge and information. And shout out to our audience, Before You Bet, the #1 UFC podcast in Lithuania. Thank you very much.